Hello, 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 everyone. This is Dr. David checking in. How are all my friends out in YouTube land? Sorry, it took me a little bit to get set up. Hey, there's Nolan. I haven't seen you in forever. This is live. You got it, guys. How y'all doing? Hold on a second. I can't see my bright shining face on my own device here. Matt J says you're old. Thanks for that. Appreciate you. Nice shirt. Love the ochre. Is that what this shirt's called? Ochre? Make your old habits. How's everybody doing? Hey, I have had my head down into the grindstone now for a good 2.5 years, working on a second doctorate program in Chinese energetic medicine. And that officially ended last Sunday. So I am a double doctor. I'll post the video of me walking and getting my diploma and all that good stuff later on. But in the meantime, since this is a special Labor Day weekend and my labors, at least in the realm of Chinese energetic medicine, have ceased, I decided I had to come on and hang out with my peeps. But I want to do something special today. I want to talk about things we've got coming up, things we've got planned, some things we don't have scheduled yet. But most importantly, for those of you who really want to talk, I'm going to post something in the link for you guys. And I have a limited space. What I decided to do was open up my Zoom room. So for those of you who want to come into the Zoom room and talk to me in person without the need of a chat, there's the link. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Right? I will keep this chat open, by the way. So for those of you coming into the Zoom room, yes, I will be bouncing back and forth, but I figure why not just have you guys face to face, and I'll do my best to field questions as much as I can. And oh, there's Michael. First one in was Michael. I'm going to go to, and there's Brick. And again, when the room is full, the room is full. All right, I think I only have space for like 400 or 500 people on this account. So since I have like 237,000 subscribers at any given moment, could be. Now keep in mind when you log in that you're going to have to raise your hand. You're going to have to do this in a nice, neat, orderly fashion, and I will do my best to. In the time that I have, answer people's questions. So people are saying, what, no vest? Hey, I tried something a little different. Oh, there's 3 of the same person in the waiting room. So that's probably got to change.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. I'm really happy to be on board with this. And I have been watching your content, rewatching it, restudying courses, and I love it. I love it.
It's been a long time since I've seen you, brother.
It has been a long time. Yeah. It has been a long time, but I just pulled out my notes and I started studying a lot of your content. And I rewatched one of your videos about the 21 most important words.
Yep.
And in that video, you tell someone that if they want to, whatever it is that you want to do in life, you would basically write it out exactly how you want it to be done. And then you would use those 21 hypnotic terms to hypnotize yourself into, and you record it, right? And you listen to it for like 63 days or something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've been doing that. And I just wanted to ask you a really random question. I don't know what the answer is going to be, but with everything that you've studied throughout the years, mm-hmm. do you believe in curses? Is that something?
100%.
Okay.
100% believe in curses. And there are, as of 3 trainings ago, there were at least 21 different types of curses that I was exposed to, or that I was taught about. How to do them, how to break them, stuff like that. So, yes, cursing is a thing. The most interesting part about that is that most curses are self-inflicted. or unconsciously inflicted. People don't realize that they've inadvertently cursed them. Doctors do this to their patients all the time. We call it clinical hexing. Some people might call it white coat syndrome or whatever, but yeah, very common.
Okay.
All right. So for those of you who are joining us, who are watching us on the YouTube chat, what I've done is I've posted a Zoom link in the chat. It's also in the comment in the description below this live video. So for the time that I'm on, if you would rather talk to me directly in a nice, neat, orderly fashion, you can actually join me on Zoom and hang out with me while I'm doing this. So it's an AMA. Any questions allowed? If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I'll refer to you to someone who I think might. And yes, I decided to go vestless today because it's just I want to flow free. So anyway, Nolan, thank you for your question, and let's go ahead and look at who's in our waiting room yet. If we need anybody, we got other questions. Got and Michael, Brick. Any questions? Or are you guys just hanging out? There's Stella. I may have to keep posting the Zoom link just so people, because it's going by pretty quick, so maybe people are missing it. So Ace is asked, wait, was that Ace? No, wait, where'd he go? Hold on a second. Oh, they retracted the statement. All right. All right. If for those of you in the Zoom room, if you have a question, go ahead and, oh, wait a minute, they're writing it in the chat. You once mentioned 7 traits all male hero characteristics have. Is their list? Michael, thank you for typing that in the chat. But you are allowed to turn your camera on and talk to me in person. That's kind of why I did this. Unless you don't want to be seen, which is completely okay. There's 5 basic traits, and there's a couple others that's fine. So when we're talking about the classical characteristics of the archetypal romantic hero, first one is they're tough. They're always tough. Even if at the beginning of the story they don't start out that way, they become really tough by the end of the epic. So toughness, both mentally, physically, and emotionally, is one of the core characteristics. They're relentless. They don't give up. They don't quit. So that's an aspect of toughness, but not necessarily physical toughness. It's once they're focused on what they want, they go after it. They are streetwise. They are people who've been around the block more times than they can count. They know the world's full of buttheads and jerk-offs, and they're not surprised when they occasionally come across yet another one. Think of your classical romantic heroes like Han Solo or Captain Jack Sparrow or James Bond. These guys are even some of the more modern ones. Who's a good modern one? Obviously, Logan for Wolverine is a classic romantic hero. Even Superman, to a certain degree, even though he's more on what we call the Lancelot side of things, he's all about goodness and light, but he's not surprised when people lie, right? He's been there, he's done that, right? So there's these classical types. They're assertive and they're dominant. These are people who are not afraid to stand up in a room and in a rational, powerful way state what they want and what they believe, right? They're ready and willing to take charge at any given moment. Okay, so that's the 5 core ones that are written about in Dangerous Men, Adventurous Women. I add 2 more to that: a sense of humor or wittiness, right, and a sense of mystery, right? And with these 7, you pretty much have this ability to become super attractive to people in general when in any situation or circumstance. It's something I've seen over and over and over again. And what you'll see when you go back and you look at all of the classic romantic hero characters, they all have these traits. The difference is in the proportions of them. Some of them are just more on the physical and relentlessness side. I think Rocky Balboa, for example, right? Super tough, super relentless. Not necessarily the most dominant guy in comparison to his other traits, but in the ring, he comes out, right? So what you're looking at is the proportions of these traits. Romantic heroine traits are a little bit more nebulous, but what you'll see is they're almost always passionate. They are independent thinkers. Even if they don't start out at the beginning of the show or the series that way, they become strong inside. they're almost always very caring. Like they have a deeply compassionate heart, right? They're obviously attractive in some way. I'm trying to remember. If you get the book Dangerous Men, Adventurous Women, which is a series of essays written by romance writers, there's formulas that people apply that you can apply to this. And if you take the identity by design system that we teach, for example, and you use the traits from those books, you can actually start to install and amplify those states within yourself. Paul took his camera off, so we'll call on Paul.
So I got one of those step vibrating things.
Yep.
I'm wondering what kind of settings I should have and what kind of Qigongs that's beneficial for.
Depending on how you're doing, well, first of all, it's any of the Yichuan stuff, the standing meditation stuff is going to be good for. You just got to be careful that you follow your 18 rules of posture, right? And that you got your tensegrity going.
Okay.
Any calisthenic type stuff is good on your vibration trainer. I used to do it when I was training hardcore system, and I may start doing it again. When I was training my punches, I would actually do fist planks on the vibration plate and keep my structure and just hold the structure and slowly come down and push. And again, the idea when you're doing systemic punches versus push-ups is that in a push-up, you're pushing yourself away from the earth. But when you're doing punch training, you're actually pushing the earth away from you. So it changes the direction of your chi flow. It changes the direction of your attention and your jing. So the idea is I'm always pushing, I'm always stationary and solid, and I'm pushing the heavy object away, right? But the vibration and holding that, along with your standing practice, is probably the best place to start.
Okay.
Let's see here. So David said, hold on a second. You promised I will tell you something about myopia. I don't recall promising to tell anybody anything about myopia because I'm not an expert on it. But one of the ways that you can begin to heal your eyes, there's a gentleman, so he's a Russian gentleman who had a whole series, Nabokov is his name or something. They had a whole series of eye exercises, and I'll see if I can find that. I think that might have been what you're referring to was the book. The other thing you can do is you can practice breathing. Since the eyes are related to the liver is related to the wood element. If you soften your gaze, create an energy ball, wrap it around some very healthy, lush green vegetation, and slowly sip that energy in through your eyes, into your liver, in and out. This will start to tonify and purify the energy in your eyes, and that will start to make them more healthy. That's a pretty safe way to do it. So the idea is we're gonna regulate. So we're gonna breathe the energy in, the clean energy in, breathe the clean energy out, with a soft, defocused gaze, and that will allow you to start to rejuvenate your eyes. And if I can find that book, I know I have it in I think I might have it in my Kindle app, but I haven't had time to look for it. But that's where I would start. Look up Bates eye exercises are good for that. Should I type here or ask live? Stella, why don't you go ahead and ask your question, sweetie?
Oh, thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Great. Sorry that I'm away from the camera. I am in Europe. It's almost midnight, so I'm not really camera ready at this point. But
We understand.
I leave it to your imagination. Let's put it that way. So, first of all, I'm so extremely happy that I catch you live, and I guess manifestation works because I just discovered your channel, I don't know, like 3, 4, 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I haven't slept, I haven't done enough, I haven't been out, like literally. I haven't even gone to swim, I didn't do anything. I was binging it like nonstop. It's everything I was always looking for because I was studying.
Fantastic.
I was studying things about manifestation, social anthropology, mythology, theology, linguistics, language games, a la Wittgenstein, psychology, all kind of stuff. And the way you synthesize everything and bring it further is phenomenal. And obvious, I don't know what happened.
I'm here.
Oh, you can hear me, great. So my screen changed. Anyhow, so you know all that about yourself, obviously. So I just wanted to come to my point, which was, is there a way to have private sessions with you, I guess on Zoom, since we are on different continents?
Absolutely. For anybody who is interested in sessions with me, I'll be upfront with you. I'm kind of expensive.
I
However,
guess that I was afraid of that.
I'll just be upfront with that. But I'm happy to work with anybody who can, who can afford to work with me and stuff like that. However, for people who maybe it's not in their price range or something along those lines, I have several trained associates, people who I deeply trust, who I refer most of my clinical work to, unless people really want to work with me. I have the highest level of trust in these people. So when you call, here's how it's going to work. The number you need to call is 858.
Okay, wait a sec, please. And is that a number that I should call on WhatsApp, for example? Because from Europe, it's not really evident.
I don't know. It could be. If you call this number, I don't know if you'll get it on WhatsApp or not, but this is my office number. It's 858-282-4663.
284.
Yeah, I'll say it a few times for people.
Yeah, okay.
858-282-4663.
282-4663.
Sorry for those of you on YouTube. I typed too many sixes. 858-282-4663. This is my office number. So if you're looking for one-on-one work, this is how we work. We offer all prospective clients a free 30-minute consultation to determine if your case is a fit for our methods. After you pass our screening, we'll discuss strategies and tactics for helping you get your situation resolved in the shortest amount of time possible. We can help you, we'll tell you. If we can't help you and we think you would be better served through another modality, then we're happy to make a referral because that's what we care about. We want to make sure that you're getting the help you need. And so the evaluation process that we put people through is to make sure that you have the best chance to get the biggest return on your investment for your time with us, right? As much as I'd love to believe that my technologies can help everybody, a lot of times it depends on where you are in that life cycle of people who are ready to change. Some people aren't ready to give it up. Some people need other types of interventions first before they're ready, or it's safe within scope of practice for us to work with them. Like, for example, one of the things that is, for most cases, outside of my scope of practice is like multiple personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder. And yet I've had to work with some of these people. And a lot of it was because everybody given up on them. They'd been to like 3 psychologists, 3 institutions, and nobody could help these people, or at least that was what they told me. And so I said, well, look, I've never worked with anything like this before. I can't make any guarantees. I'll put you through our evaluation, our screening process. And if you pass the screening, then we'll take on your case and see what we can do, right? But I'd like to see some notations and some kind of documentation from your healthcare providers, if you have any, right? Well, she did her due diligence and she came in and she had amazing results. But technically outside of my scope of practice. And I took it on more as say, well, if you can, I'm happy to help and we'll see where this goes. But you have to really make sure that it's not out of my scope of practice now as a Chinese medical practitioner, but as a hypnotist it was.
And may I ask, who is that 30 minutes evaluation call with? Is it with an associate?
It's usually with Moss. Moss is my administrative assistant, and he likes to think of himself as my protege, and it's probably true now. I've probably thrown him into more deep water than anybody at this point. And he's actually handling like high level cases like breast cancers and real deep level physiological stuff. It'll probably be with Moss, but if Moss agrees that it's time to call in Dr. David, then you'll probably wind up doing similar things with me, and then we'll decide where to go from there.
Actually, I'm mostly interested in the kind of seduction, persuasion / manipulation
Oh, okay.
technique, targeting specific people, and without it sounds horrible. I just hear myself. No, with
Fine.
no bad intention. So I wonder if you do consultation on subjects like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Super.
The fee is the same whether we're doing therapeutic work, coaching, or advanced persuasion and influence mentoring, right? It's my it's my time, so it's my expertise. So if you come in and you have stuff you want to fix, we'll do that. If you have skill sets you want to learn, we'll do that, right? My job is to help as many people as I can. And like, as you mentioned at the beginning of your time, I have a pretty broad skill set. And so I'm happy to use those to help the people that want to work with me.
Thank you. Just a quick question. What's your view on seduction? Do you think that any given person can seduce anyone, or is there some non-negotiables that this doesn't work because something?
In the realm of persuasion and influence, there are no absolutes. This is the one thing that persuasion students learn very early on. But one of the things you can count on is that if you have the right tools and the right resources and you can engineer the environment, you can get anybody to do just about anything. The question is, do you have the skill sets and the other resources necessary? In my friend Chase likes to talk about a concept he calls PCP, and it's not the drug, right? It's not angel dust, right? PCP means perception, context, permission, right? Can you control that person's perception of you? Can you control the context in which you're interacting with them? And can you engineer a sequence of experiences that give them the idea or the perspective that they have permission to be and act a certain way? And the skill sets that you bring to bear on that are the deciding factors. So anybody can be, but not everybody can do it.
That's exactly what I was hoping to hear, because that's what I believe and that's what I guess that your approach is. So it sounds very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I definitely will contact your number, and then I hope to get to you.
By all means, please reach out to us, and we're happy to help. And just for the record, even though I know Stella felt a little bit weird talking about the S word, right? But the truth is that I don't judge anybody's reason for learning this material. I'm gonna have to mute everybody because it's getting kind of loud in the chat. Hold on a second.
Baby, finish. Fine.
Hold on.
Stupid.
All right. Good. Now, if you're logging in, please make sure that you're muted, and if you've got World War III going on in the background, it's not disturbing any of our other folks. Okay. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us from the Zoom, from YouTube into Zoom. I hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. Let me go ahead and close this loop on. I don't judge how people find us, because a lot of times in the vast majority of cases, the reason people find us isn't the reason they stay. They come in looking for a specific type of answer, and they usually get it, right? And once they have that answer, they see all the other things that are available, and they just kind of like Stella, they start watching video after video after video. And I love that. I love that about this community. I love this about you guys. But what's the most interesting and fascinating and perhaps the most fulfilling thing that I see when people come to the live events or they come to the healing intensives and they start on this path, and they're coming to maybe learn how to get laid, or they're coming to learn how to find Mr. Right, or they're coming how to get over their pain and or whatever reason. The person they are at the beginning of the event is not the person they are by the end of it. And that causes a chain reaction of personal growth in people. And it's exciting because people come in, if you think of Maslow's pyramid, right? Survival, sex, right? They come in trying to find the answers for these. And they start getting them and applying them. But in the process of applying those transformations to their lives, they start to change, and they start going up that pyramid towards that self-actualization, right? And it's fascinating to watch. And so I don't judge how people got here. God knows, some of the most powerful things I ever learned or from the sexuality and the dating and seduction niches. And some of my most powerful therapeutic techniques have roots in that world, right? It's just like a lotus. A lotus is a seed that grows in the mud and in the muck, and then this flower grows up out of it, right? And that's what I see so many times. So I don't judge. Now, if you're going out and taking this technology out into the world and using it to directly hurt people and not creating a win-win situation, that I don't condone, and that's going to reap its own karma, right? But by and large, if you follow our approaches and the way we move through the world, it's never necessary to do any of that. You can get everything you want just by showing other people how to get what they want, making them feel ridiculously good. But if there comes a time when you have to protect yourself, those skills are available to you, right? So let me go through my. I gotta look at. Oh, I gotta check in on my YouTubers here really quick. So let's see here if there's any good questions on our YouTube. So Ether Art says being old just means they haven't found you yet. Okay. Let's see here. Where can I get those spectacles? DJ, I got those on Amazon, of all places, right? Kathy Evanoff says, I can't believe I only just found you. I believe it, Kathy. Bloot says, about dating, how to make women experience strong feelings and how to avoid the friend zone. 3 magic questions, criteria, emotional bonding, and vibing. That'll get it faster than anything. Lock Solo says, only Sith operate in absolutes. And DJ says, you're absolutely correct, Lux. Okay, there's a little bit of conversation going on in there. Let me see if there's any people in my waiting room. Do I have people in the waiting room? No, I don't see. I think we only got 14. I'm going to post for those of you who want to come see me. Go ahead and, here's the Zoom link. Go ahead and come on in. Laura Brannigan says, was 33 in the year 1985. LLB, Dr. Dave. Okay, not sure what that's about, but so the chosen one says, can you explain how to use the CPI model for manifesting, like you say, in Hidden Laws of Attraction? And how would you get in rapport with being someone that makes $10,000 or $10 million? Okay. So the mechanics of rapport don't change. The only thing that changes is your target. So if I want to become, if I want to manifest using the CPI model, the first thing I got to do is I got to know my outcome. I got to know what I want and how I'm getting it. Second thing is I got to control my state, which means I've got to take an inventory of where my current state is and what state I need to be in to be more effective in manifesting. Okay. The next thing I need to do is use my language skills to program my mind in a certain way. Now, sometimes that's talking to the individual. Sometimes that's talking to higher source. Sometimes it's talking to your own unconscious mind, but it still involves communication. And then you've got to manage that state. What does that mean? Okay, this is the state I need. This is the state I'm in. This is the state I need to be in. This is the state of the thing I want. What does it feel like to have that? What does it feel like to be that? And how do I create that bridge? And if I can, in my mind and in my imagination, envision that and imagine a bridge from that result flowing into me like an energetic bridge and just get in deep level rapport with that, you have the beginnings of what is commonly referred to in closed door metaphysical circles as deity magic, right? The other way to do it is to go into image cycling, right? And generate as much of a positive state as you can, okay? If you want to add more juice to that, tap into your emotional needs for why you want it. So when you go to our webinars, we have tons of webinars on how to reprogram some conscious mind, weapons of social seduction, secrets of human influence. They all talk about the emotional motivation checklist. Your emotions at this level of your training, at this level of your understanding, emotions are a source of power for you. And so if you can tap into those emotional desires, that will release a huge amount of energy that you can use for manifestation. Okay, so that in a very quick and easy way is how you can use the CPI model for manifestation. Let me see here. DJ says DTI with Jack Sparrow. That works. It does. All right. One more. Okay, people are starting to jump to the line. So breakup ended by me 3 months ago. I'm stuck in constant rumination, always thinking about her. Green remembering exercise and helping. Okay, you need to magic frame that. Okay, AP. You need to go point to where you feel it, reach out, touch it, put a big frame around it, white it out, write the lessons that need to happen, close it down, move it behind you, nail it back there. What you might want to do also is actually run yourself through the resistance removal protocol first, or have somebody else run you through it, and then do the magic frame. Or sandwich them both. Do the magic frame, do the resistance removal protocol, and then magic frame again, and then spin it. And I think you'll wind up, you'll break that cycle really strongly. So Blue's asking, what if the women that I'm already trying to date, I've already talked to her, know about her passions, and 3MQ is never going to be repetitive. People never get tired of talking about themselves. That's the beauty of it. They'll talk for hours about the same thing, right? And think you're the most fascinating conversationalist they've ever met. One of the biggest challenges that a lot of people have with our technologies is that it's the same. From dating to teaching to negotiation to mediation to therapeutic interventions, our frameworks don't change. But the way those frameworks express themselves look different to the untrained eye, right? It's like Sistema. Sistema is a martial art that doesn't have a lot of technique, so much as it has drills and principles that it works with. And so you punch a guy using Sistema, he'll respond one way. You throw what you think is the exact same punch at the Sistema guy, he'll move in a completely different way because there's no such thing as the same punch. Right? And you can throw 100 punches at him and he won't defend it the same way twice, because and it'll look like he's doing something different every time, but in reality, they're doing the same thing every time. They're following an algorithm or a formula that yields a product that looks different, but is a result of the same formula. Okay. And so again, our protocols are a lot like this. Once you have these conversational frameworks and these hardcore principles of human influence, you can apply them in any number of ways. And you're doing the same things over and over and over again, but they look different because context is different, because the words are different, because the person is different. You will feel like you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. And that makes you feel weird, because it shouldn't be that simple. It shouldn't be that cut and dry. There should be more variation. And the truth is that what we've given you, in my humblest of humble opinions, which is to be not humble, but confident and certain, is the most powerful way for one human being to communicate with another human being, most desirable way for one human being to communicate with another human being. But it's all based on their perspective, not yours, right? And if you make it about the other person, they'll wind up making it about you, even if it's about them. It's a really interesting and beneficial paradox that we play with. Right? Kendra is asking a question. Let me take a look here. Kendra, how would you use this like in a court hearing to have the outcome work in your favor? Okay, so in what part of the courtroom process are we in? Are we in jury selection? Are we in deposition? Are we in closing arguments? Where are we in this process? Closing. Okay, so there's a lot of things in closing. In closing, you would want to use a lot more reframes. You would want to use a lot more, actually probably reframes. And if you're talking to a jury or you're talking to the judge, you would want to do as much homework on those people as you could legally, so you would know what their values are. And you want to link what you want them to do to the elements in your closing argument. So the more you know about emotional bonding, the more you know about resistance removal protocol, the more you understand what we call the Fantastic Four, which is embedded commands, quotes, patterns, analog markings, and IU shifts, the more effective you're going to be from a linguistic perspective. State-wise, you want to start being able to emanate your proprioceptive awareness to them and start emanating feelings of trust, belief, conviction, certainty, comfort and liking to them. So these are things that there's a whole process that we train you in it, in the CPI system and the killer influence system, to be able to do those things. And I have some of my students, I have about 35 personal injury attorneys that I know of that are using the system, and they're just dominating in the courtroom. But it's based on, they're doing a lot of things, both in voir dire and deposition, in cross, things of that nature. So I hope that helps. If you don't have those skills, then by all means grab Stealth CPI or Killer Influence version 1, and then get, and if you can, then get Renegade Reframing. That's probably a really good place to start. Also, for Kendra, getting our training on story work might be really, really powerful for you if you can tell stories in your closing, right? Or small vignettes in the closing. You can embed things within the story. But you got to be careful with a lot of the sexy stuff from NLP, because a lot of lawyers are trained in that stuff, and if they catch you doing it, they may call you on it. Okay, so the state control stuff is impossible to catch. Reframing, very powerful and highly recommended. Story work, completely powerful if you can tell stories without flagging yourself. Let's see here. Okay, so Nolan's asking, you mentioned in a previous video that there's no such thing as hypnosis because everything is hypnosis. That's me parroting a phrase, a little game that Bandler and Grindler used to play. One would stand up and say, there's no such thing as hypnosis. The other person will say, no, that's not true. Everything is hypnosis. And they just argue back and forth. And it's true enough to be true. Most people can't really define hypnosis. Each school of hypnosis and hypnotherapy has their own definition. But actually, it's one of the reasons that hypnosis hasn't been legislated or highly regulated in this country is because nobody can really define it.
David, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's all right. Type your question, because we want to keep it a little bit more orderly here. So Severus is asking, I want to use state control for making new friends, but I have never felt love before, so I think I can't do state control. Well, that's horseshit, right? Here's the workaround. If you ever want to tap into a state that you don't feel like you've ever had before, it's a very simple workaround. You just ask yourself a different question. What might that be like? What might that be to feel totally loved? What might that be like? And practice feeling that way. How might I stand if I felt that way? How might I breathe if I felt that way? Right? What would it be like for me to feel loving towards another person? And what would it be like to be on the end and on the receiving end of that? Okay. There's a mechanism in all of you folks, and you'll learn about it when you come to identity by design, regression, vibrational healing, unleashing the magic, anything that has a therapeutic. Well, that's not true. We teach it in Influence too, just not the same way. Anything that deals with dialoguing with your own nervous system, and that's called the somatic search engine. Okay, just like we have Google, right? Your body has its own search engine, and the name of it is TLS. No, TDS. I'm sorry, transderivational search. We call it the somatic search engine. And if you understand how to ask questions to your own nervous system, and you have the key to interpreting the answer, then you can make any change you want. If you can if you can conceive of it, name it, and describe it, or ask it, you can create it. And the magic way to do that, especially if it's an experience you've never had, is to ask yourself a very different question. What might that be like? What might that be like? And imagine it. And you'll find very, very quickly that things will start to pop. Oh, wait, hold on. We got some people. So I've done Magic Frame. that it isn't helping, will do resistance removal, grief is normal. Yes. In fact, you need to let that grief process, because if you don't process the grief fully, you try to hurry it along, that can cause the overthinking issue that you're thinking about, that's bothering you. Because what happens is you have two different sets of processes going on when it comes to emotion or events. You have the conscious expectation of what that's supposed to be like, and then the unconscious processing of it. So let's use grief as an example, or loss. Let's say that, you know, we lose someone we love, like maybe they passed away, a pet passed away, or whatever. And you have a job, right? You go to work every day, right? And you don't have the luxury of necessarily working from home, right? And when you take a bereavement leave or something like that, right? And so you get 2, 3, 4 weeks off from work to process and get ready to come back to work. But if you're like most people, sometimes the time we're given isn't the time it takes. And so what happens is your conscious mind says, okay, I've gone through this loss. It happened here. I have 4 weeks to get over this and then get back to my life. Well, week 3.5 rolls around and you're still deep into it, like deep, right? And so what happens is your conscious mind starts trying to make it happen faster, tries to push it along, tries to get you back into being functional, right? You know, from the conscious mind's perspective, I have 4 months, right? And again, that's probably generous for most bereavement leaves, but we'll go with that. But your unconscious mind says, it's going to take you a year, buddy. It's going to take us a year to process all this out. So 4 months in, you're only 25% done. But you have to go back to work. And you do things like, I can't think about this anymore. I have to put this behind me. And so you find ways to distract yourself. You ignore it. You stuff it. You repress it. For every unit of energy that remains unprocessed in your body, you need an equal or greater amount of energy to keep it there. And part of the dynamics of your unconscious mind is to hold these things temporarily in storage until your conscious mind can go back in, unpack the event, fully express the emotion, and get the lessons from it. But if you never finish that process, it just stays there. And it's like this video on an endless loop. And every now and then you come across something in your external environment that is similar to what's spinning down here, or you're not doing anything specific that requires your conscious attention at any given moment. And all of a sudden it looks up at you and goes, oh, he's not doing anything. Maybe we can finally deal with this. And it brings it back up out of nowhere. You've all had this experience. You're driving down the road, bright sunny day, like it is outside now, right? Happy as a clam, music's playing, right? And then a shitty memory from when you were 7 pops up. Now, do you go pulling off to the side of the road, throw that puppy in park, turn the key off, put an emergency brake on, and go diving in to deal with that negative emotion? Or do you do this? You turn the radio up louder, you hit the gas, and you go, yeehaw, motherfucker. Right? That's what we do. We run away from it. We try to distract ourselves, deny it, repress it, shift the blame for it. We do everything but deal with it. And so many times when we throw a monkey wrench into that mechanism that the universe programmed into us, you'll get these recurring thoughts. Because you haven't invented the emotional charge. You haven't extracted the lessons. And it especially happens if you try to rush the grieving process. I had someone reached out to me the other day. I think it might have been, in fact, she's on here. Namisha asked me a question very similar to what you were asking. She had just had. Is it okay for me to talk about this, Namisha?
Yes, David, that's okay.
Okay. She had asked me about using magic frame and color breathing and spinning for grief. She had just gone through a loss, and it had only been a day or two. And I said, no. You have to give that process, that emotion, a chance to work its way through your system, because that's how your system is supposed to handle it. Now, I get that we have places to go and people to see and things to do and blah, 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 blah. Fuck that. Take care of yourself first. Take care of your body. Give your body the chance to do what God programmed it to do. And then if it goes beyond a reasonable amount of time, now bring in your techniques. Right? Because the problem is when somebody's just gone through a loss, they're on the verge of losing control of their shit at any given moment. And our techniques work as long as the person can follow the instructions. I learned this the hardest of hard ways when I was in medical school, the first time. I had a really good friend of mine. Her name was Cynthia. And she was in love with this guy. And one day I get a call and she's just devastated. He broke up, he left, and everything, all her plans for the future were gone. And she goes, can you hypnotize me to get over this, to be over this? It was like an hour. She couldn't string two coherent thoughts together long enough to tap into anything. It was too raw. It was too strong. She hadn't given herself the opportunity to go through that grief resolution process. Okay? So when we're going through breakups and things like that, there may be times when you can, first of all, there are things you can do in that moment, but not those, right? Change your posture, change your breathing, step back, just so step out of your own body, look at the feelings, go meditate to it. There's things you can do, provided that you have the presence of mind and the ability to control your cognition, which, by the way, is why we teach physiological state control separately from cognitive state control. Because if your physiology is in chaos, you can't access your thinking. Your butt pucker, as one of my beloved crazy mentors used to say, your butt puckers up and your brains drop out. So you got to get your physiology in control first. And that's always posture and breathing, a la Amy Cuddy and variations of that. And then you can access your cognitive skills and do all the other things that we teach you. Your physiology has to be rock solid. Okay? I hope that helps. Person paid a lot of money for that answer, so I'm going to give it to him. So Laura's saying, was 33 in the year 1985. I finally learned to go into a feel-good state within 8 minutes from Dr. David. Awesome! Killian says, how does your nervous system communicate with you? There's something we call the 6 dynamics of an unconscious response. Write these down. I'm going to say them 3 times out loud. If you miss it, you miss it. Otherwise, you got to go back and watch the webinars. A, your unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. It's never loud. It's never linear. Unconscious mind always answers first. Always answers honestly. Always feels like you're making it up. Always have an urge to edit what just came up. Never loud. Never linear. Last time, with feeling. Unconscious mind always answers first. It always answers honestly. It always feels like you're making it up. You always have an urge to edit what just came up. Never loud, never linear. Okay? If you apply, when you start dialoguing with your own unconscious mind and you say, well, where did this start? First thing that pops up is the right answer. It will take you exactly where you need to go. The moment you catch yourself saying, well, that can't be right, or that's not it, or what I meant was, that's your critical faculty, your neocortex, the wrong part of your brain trying to take over the show. The part of you that's shortcutting your grieving process is the part of you that's now trying to wrap a story around the data from the deep unconscious, so you go in a completely different direction. You have to be true to those 6 dynamics. They will never steer you wrong. They will. I promise you, if you follow it, you will always get to the root of a cause faster. If you're a therapist, right, and you see clients, teach them this before you do anything else, and you will have an amazing session. For a lot of reasons. Just teach it to them, right? Maddie says, as someone who knows 3MQ and Echo, I notice when someone is using it on me, I dislike it. I do enjoy the conversation. There we go. This also happened when I didn't know the 3MQ. Why am I getting irritated? Well, here's what I would do. Think of the first time you ever felt that way and who was it with, right? And unpack that experience. Because if you know the person's echoing you and they're doing it from a sincere place, and you're liking the conversation, then they're triggering a memory of something. Might have been a time when somebody was echoing you in a more mimicky, teasing kind of way, like they're mocking you, right? And you still got a charge connected to that. That's 99% of the time that's the case. Okay. So Kathy is asking, as a new hypnotist, what is a good meditation or frame of mind before I do a session? Okay, Kathy, I don't know what your skill sets are. I don't know what your background is. I teach people that if they don't have any energetic or meditation training, I teach them to gray room themselves or color breathe themselves and do a safe place induction on themselves before they go see a client. If you are into meditation, there's a process we call pulling down the heavens, 1 through 10, 3 divine invocations that just supercharges your energy, amplifies your voice, and puts these really powerful shields against negative energy around you. And for people who want to learn that, I'm thinking about doing an actual energy mastery coaching program. How many people here would be interested in something like that? It would be like a weekly class that gets together. Again, it's not going to be free, obviously, but how many people would be interested in something along those lines?
I would.
Okay. All right. If you are interested, by all means, leave a comment below this video or email me, because I'm going to kind of model it after the program I just came out of. So it'll be about a $200 or $300 a month charge. It'll be 4 times a month, 1 to 2 hours a week with homework. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, but I don't want to commit to that unless I've got enough people to make it worth my while. Right. So the more people I know are worth it, and then we'll get you on an email list, and we'll do some meetings about it, go over the parameters of that, things of that nature. Energy and meditations are going to start playing a little bit more of an active role in what we do. We're not going to move away from influence by any stretch of the imaginations. I want you to think of energetics as a force multiplier of all the other things that we're doing: face reading, influence and persuasion, dating and seduction, manifestation. Everything that I'm going to be bringing into Planet David going forward doesn't replace that stuff at all. In fact, you need this stuff to make this even better. But these are force multipliers. This is the things that we're going to be bringing in are going to amplify and multiply the power of everything you're doing. Right? It's the Nagong, the inner teachings, right? The really secret stuff behind the techniques, for that matter. Like state control is kind of our Nagong. If you have state control down, you can own just about any room that you're in. But state control is the one thing you won't see on a YouTube video. It's our secret sauce. So how many people here have been to Killer Influence or CPI live? If you have, post in the chat what that state control training was like, right? And what it allowed you to do and stuff like that. It's crazy, right? All right, so let me go back. For those of you who want to join us, I have to jump out, by the way. I have to jump out hard at like 3:30, 3:40, because I have to take my daughter to her Eskrima lesson. But if you guys are enjoying this with the Zoom part, right, where I have people come in, let me know and we'll do more, right? We'll do more. Let me see. Let me go back to the people who are actually in Zoom. So I answered Severus's question. Stella, I will get to you if I have time. I just want to make sure that the other people who are asking questions have their chance. Nolan's asked a couple of questions already. So, and by the way, if you did ask a question here and I did not answer it, I promise you this: I will go back through the chat when Zoom finishes processing this video, and I will actually type your answers in the comments section below this live on YouTube. So I promise you that I will not ignore your question if I don't get to it, but I'm literally running 2 chats plus you folks here in the room at the same time. So I just want to make sure that.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. So Siri is asking, hi, Dr. David. I'm curious about how and why we are drawn to different colors and how that can shift. Like since last autumn, I felt drawn to pigeon blue, indigo, and still love it. But since months, I felt a strong draw towards orange like the other calendulas, like the one, and the day you are wearing a shirt in such a lovely glow. Okay, so great question, amazing answer. The colors we choose on a given day or over a certain period of time are the nutrients our energy system needs. So for those of you coming to regression next month, you're going to see this in spades. When people come in for a session and we're doing color breathing or holonomic regression, which is all color or energy or color based, 50% of the time or better, the color they need to resolve their trauma is the one they're wearing. 50% of the time or better, the colors that wind up resolving their stuff is the colors they're wearing. Sometimes more, right? And so when you choose certain colors, there's a certain frequency range and a set of attributes connected to that color or that range of colors that your system is looking for, like a vitamin supplement. And so that'll balance it. Sometimes that is also the predominant color in our aura. So you're going to get two ways this can be. It can either be something you need or something you're already emanating a lot of, and so you feel a rapport with that. But my experience has been more often than not, it's something we need. It's something we need. And our unconscious mind at a deep level, on a soul level, a spirit level, understands that. And so that's why we choose the colors that we choose. So Jeanette's asking, how do I teach a client about the unconscious mind? So Jeanette, if you can turn your camera off or turn your camera on and explain, I don't know what that means. I need a little bit more context. I know you're here in the chat, so. Oh, maybe she jumped out. Oh, there she is. Hey, Jeanette. So can you turn it, unmute yourself and give me a little bit more background on this question?
Hi, Dr. David.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm a therapist myself, and like what tools would I use to help? I often say to the client to listen to their first voice. Is the first voice that's within them that is speaking to them, because that's your intuitive voice, that's your survival voice, that's your thing. But I guess sometimes when someone's really have lived a life where they've experienced a lot of gaslighting or they're in domestic violence and things like that, they say, they don't know how to listen to their voice. Because they've been reliant on listening to their partner's voice, and it's really entrenched. Like, it's really, really, I just can really feel the challenge as a therapist when I'm working with clients from domestic violence backgrounds and stuff.
Okay, so the question you asked is, how do I teach a client about the unconscious mind? So, and the question you just gave me is a very different one. So I'm curious, which is the real question?
I'm on my phone trying to write at the same time, and I don't even have a good.
So when we talk about inner dialogue, okay, we can talk about the unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind, when we're born, is like this big sponge. It's like a hard drive with no information. It just wants information, and it grabs a hold of information that comes in from the outside, and it uses it to create what we perceive reality to be, right? If a person has gone through a lot of domestic abuse, they've taken external information, and because their sense of self and identity has been so weakened and crippled and downsized, what tends to happen is they start to take on the other person's value system as a way to as their sense of self, right? And so that they internalize those voices. And so there's a couple of ways that you can fix that or neutralize it. One of the ways that we do it, and do you have our Identity by Design program at all?
I think I got it some time ago, but I have to buy it or do it again. It was ages ago. So
go to Identity by Design, and specifically, I want you to focus on 4 techniques. Actually, 3. Actually, a bunch of techniques. Safe place induction, first and foremost. Magic frame, color breathing, and energy spinning. Okay, so those are you're going to be your staples. Now, for this particular situation, there's a technique. It's the fourth technique in the silo called voice of authority. And the first half of that technique is completely neutralizing and depotentiating the bad voices, just taking them out and turning them into Donald Duck's voice, or completely turning them off.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the first part. The second part of that technique is installing the perfect voice, the voice of love and authority and protection, the voice that always tells them all the very best things about themselves and why they deserve it and why they should go for it and what to avoid and all those things. It's an extremely powerful technique. Okay, because I discovered very early on that internal dialogue, that running dialogue in our head, is one of the primary drivers of what we can or cannot achieve in this life. And the moment you change a person's internal dialogue, everything else shifts. So a voice of authority is going to be your jam.
Yeah.
Okay, and then run them through the entire identity by design silo. Once you've cleared out using whatever modalities you have, if you have regression training, highly recommend that. If not, use whatever modalities you have to clear out and get them to a nice steady state, and then run them through the entire identity by design silo so that they can reconstruct their own sense of self and identity to what they want it to be. And then you need to make sure that you get them out of those environments and those situations that are related to the old patterns.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And let me know how it goes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Paul says, I have a neuromist and want to know where to put it for neuroplasticity. Well, that's easy. What do you want to do? I think you asked me this question already.
I don't remember getting an answer because it was during a class.
You probably need more neuroplasticity then.
Probably.
All right. So if you want to amplify your martial arts, your ability to learn martial arts, thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Sensory motor cortex. So top of the ears to the byway. So any place in here that you run the electrodes will stimulate that cortex. Okay. If you do other types of learning, then you would want to use the DARPA protocol, which is left temple, right temple, left shoulder, or left temple, right shoulder, right? And use alternating current. Use alternating current.
Alternating. Okay. And that's going to be for like my schooling and your
schooling. Use DARPA for school. Use DARPA. Use the DARPA protocol. Okay. For martial arts, use the sensory motor cortex.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's go to our last YouTube check-in. So Todor Kolev says, hi, Dr. Snyder. Such luck to have you alive. I think so. I like to be alive. I think it's lucky. Greetings from Bulgaria. Greetings back, Bulgaria. God bless. Len says that energy thing sounds amazing. I'm interested. Okay, so how should I, says, how should I approach my crush at uni? We don't have courses together. Do you guys already know each other? If you already know each other, just go up and say hi. If you don't, introduce yourself and compliment them on something nobody else has complimented them on. That's not obvious. Okay, you got to go up. Start with, again, make positive eye contact in a place where they're not rushing off to the restroom or they don't have some other place to be necessarily. Make positive eye contact, introduce yourself, and launch into 3 magic questions. And that will get the ball rolling, and then it's up to you to go from there. Manfred, did you have a question? You keep turning on your camera. Oh, you're good? Okay. You guys having fun? Is this fun? Oh, Manfred says, before Dr. David leaves, thank you very much and have a wonderful day. You're very welcome. I got a few minutes yet. Trust me, leaving you guys is one of the hardest things to do. It really is. I really enjoy spending time with you guys. And that's why I'd like to encourage you. I'm going to, in the next probably week or so, I'm going to be putting out our 2025 calendar. And I'd like to see as many of you in person as humanly possible. I know we're a little pricey sometimes, but you deserve it. You're worth it. So invest in yourself and come on out. For those of you who are into the martial arts and into energy, we have a really cool training coming up in October. It's called Secrets of Internal Power. You can go to the website and see a little bit about that. We also have a Facebook group if you guys want to know access to that. we can do that. I'll be putting up a new letter describing what we've got coming up for this year shortly. So yeah. So Jeanette's asking, will you be coming to Australia again? Jeanette, I plan on coming to Australia, but I do not have any definitive dates on when that would be. I really loved my last visit to Australia. It was just, it's a lot to get there. You guys know, because you come here all the time, right? But yes, we do, but I just don't know when that's going to be. So let me see if I missed any questions. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying this, please like and share. The more stuff, the more people who know about us, the more of these I'll do. Like I said, you guys are my extended family, and I truly want to thank you and let you know how grateful I am for your trust and loyalty in learning these technologies and using them in a way to make your lives better, and by extension, everyone that you meet. Okay. I see. Stella says, come to Europe. Actually, I just got an invite from the Irish Hypnosis Convention. So there's a very good possibility next April I'll be in Ireland, Dublin specifically. Let me look at. Lita says, pray for nothing bad, and God bless you and your family. Thank you so much for that. So Blue's asking, could you explain the checklist with regards to dating? Okay. Here's the I'm giving this to Blute in the context of dating, but I'm giving it to all of you in the context of life, the universe, and everything. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. The question becomes, how do they get that feeling? Well, for every situation or circumstance that you can conceive of, your nervous system, your deep unconscious mind, your Shen, to use a Chinese term, has a checklist, an idealized version of what constitutes the ideal, perfect anything. And it has a list of check marks that it's moving through the world, projecting out into the world, and calibrating who fits it. So if you've ever heard the term projection is perception or perception is projection, it's functionally true. Human beings are constantly projecting their internal checklists onto the external world and looking for the matches, but it goes beyond that. Not only are they looking for that, they are embodying that. And what that means is they will do to other people what their checklist says is the ideal way for them to have something done to them. So if the way I calibrate being comforted is someone walking up to me and touching my arm this way in exactly this place. If I'm moving through the world and I see someone who needs comfort, I'm going to go up to them and I'm going to touch them just like that on them in that location, because that's how I do it. So that must be how you do it. Projection is perception. Perception is projection. The checklist is all about having the eyes to see and the ears to hear what people are projecting through their actions, their behaviors, their beliefs, and their words. And then just reflecting it back to them in the way that they can perceive it. If you can do that effectively, then everyone you meet will fall head over heels for you in one form or another. Not always romantically, but they will feel like you really get them, like you understand them, because you're giving them everything that matches their own personal internal ideal. It will feel weird from your perspective because it's not your projection, it's theirs. And the more you can echo back their projections, the more they will cleave to you, the more they will bond to you. It's the most powerful force that we have as a human being. Okay? And the more you can leverage it, the more influence you have in any situation. Okay? So, does that help, folks? Cool guy's asking, how do you find out when we're doing a live call? Well, usually I'll send out an email, or sometimes I'll just randomly pop up on my YouTube channel on a holiday weekend without my vest and show up. All right. So for those of you who are interested in any of the energy trainings that we've got coming up, the coaching program when I launch it, things of that nature, make sure you type your name in. Again, you might want to email me personally so that your email is not out there for the public. But I need some kind of contact information from you so I can get you guys in a database, so I'm not wasting, spamming people on things they're not interested in. So if you guys are interested in that, if you're interested in the martial arts training we've got coming up, Secrets of Internal Power, which is all energizing for self-defense and really cool stuff, let us know. If you're interested in one-on-one coaching or session work with either myself or some of my trained associates, reach out at 858-282-4663 or email moss@nlppower.com. So for those of you guys in the Zoom room, it's 858-282-4663 or moss@nlppower.com. That's all I got time for, guys. I love you. Have a great Labor Day. I'll see you September 3rd. We have a webinar, Hidden Laws of Attraction. So for those of you who are interested in mastering your manifestation skills, join us at 3 p.m. Pacific for Hidden Laws of Attraction webinar, and we'll have more great stuff for you. Good night. Love y'all. God bless.